Right, so ready to really get into some Severance stuff. You guys are obviously as hooked on this show as I am. And with season 2 coming up, let's just say the theories are getting kind of wild. We got all these articles, like a whole stack of them, and they're diving deep into what we might see. And trust me, things are going to get, well, even weirder than season 1. But first, for anyone who maybe hasn't seen the show, let's do like a super quick recap. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so Severance. It's about Lumon Industries, right?
Right.
And they do this thing, this procedure, where they basically separate their employees' work memories from their personal lives.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're at work, you have absolutely zero recollection of your outside life, your family, anything.
And vice versa.
Exactly. And, well, season 1 left us with a whole lot of questions. And these articles, they're all about trying to figure out what's coming next.
What's really interesting to me is that Severance isn't just some sci-fi fantasy. It taps into this very real anxiety we all have, about how much power corporations actually have over our lives.
Oh, for sure. Especially with technology advancing so fast, it makes you wonder where the line is.
Right.
Like how much control is too much.
Exactly.
Okay, but before we get too deep into the theories, we should probably do a quick recap of where season 1 left off, right? Just to get everyone on the same page.
Definitely.
So things ended on a few major cliffhangers, to say the least. First, we have Heliar. Turns out she's not just some random employee. She's actually Helena Egan.
Daughter of Lumon's CEO.
Talk about awkward family dinners, right?
Yeah.
And then there's Mark, our main guy. He discovers that his wife, Gemma, who he thought was dead, is actually alive and working at Lumon as a severed employee.
Which completely changes the game, right? I mean, before it was kind of this clear-cut us versus them situation, the innies versus this big bad corporation. But now things are way more complicated.
Totally. It's like, who can you even trust when your own brain is potentially working against you? And on top of all that, we see Mark's outie, the version of him that's outside of work, getting involved with some anti-Lumon activities. So, yeah, things are pretty messed up. Big time. Which brings us to, I think, the major themes that everyone's talking about for season 2. Obviously, corporate control is a huge one. But these articles are also pointing to some deeper, more philosophical stuff.
Like identity and autonomy. I mean, you're literally splitting a person's consciousness in two with this severance procedure.
Yeah, it makes you question, like, which version of you is the real you?
Right. Or is it something else entirely? Some new hybrid of the two?
It's like the ultimate violation of privacy, right? To have a corporation basically controlling your thoughts and feelings for half of your life.
Absolutely. But let's not forget the human element here, too.
Right, right.
I mean, Severance also explores the impact of this technology on relationships.
Oh, totally.
Like, think about Mark and Gemma, or Irving and Bert, their whole interdepartmental romance thing.
Oh, yeah, they're adorable. But you have to wonder, can any relationship really survive when a part of you is literally walled off?
It's a tough question.
Okay, so those are the big picture themes that are coming up. But these articles are also jam-packed with predictions about what's actually going to happen in season 2.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with Helena. I mean, she's about to turn Lumon upside down.
Oh, yeah, totally.
She has the potential to expose everything, to bring the whole thing crashing down.
But she's also part of the family that built Lumon, so it's going to be really interesting to see how that conflict plays out.
Right. Will she follow her conscience, or will she protect her family's legacy?
And then there's Mark's outie. He's on this quest for truth, but how far will he go? Will he help the innies, or will his connection to Lumon pull him in a different direction?
It's almost like he has to investigate himself, right? Because a part of him is complicit in all of this.
And what about Irving and Bert? Their storyline is so heartwarming, but also so fragile. Do you think their bond is strong enough to bridge the gap between their innie and outie selves?
I really hope so. I think we're all rooting for them.
Me too. And then there's that whole mysterious boardroom thing. The masked figures, the weird rituals. What do you think is going on there?
Honestly, I have no idea. But it's clear that there's something more to Lumon than meets the eye.
Right. There's definitely a deeper level of power and symbolism at play.
Some people think it's a cult. Others think it's some kind of twisted social experiment.
It's like the show is constantly dropping these hints, but never giving us the full picture.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so addictive.
Absolutely. It keeps you guessing, keeps you coming back for more.
Okay, before we totally lose ourselves in theories, I think we need to talk about the visual style of Severance. It's so distinct, so unsettling. What do you think it adds to the story?
It's a huge part of what makes the show so effective. It's not just about looking cool. It's about reinforcing the themes of corporate control and isolation.
Right. Like those endless white hallways and perfectly aligned desks. They're not just there for visual flair. They're a physical manifestation of Lumon's power.
Exactly. It's like they're trying to erase any sense of individuality, to turn the employees into these mindless drones.
And the use of color, or lack thereof. Everything is so muted, so desaturated. It's almost as if the world inside Lumon has been drained of all its vibrancy.
It's a very deliberate choice, and it works perfectly to create this atmosphere of unease and claustrophobia.
And then there's the use of long takes and that slow, deliberate pacing. It really draws you into the character's psychological state. You start to feel their confusion, their fear, their growing sense of dread.
Like in that scene where Helly first arrives in the macrodata refinement department, the camera just slowly pans across the room, lingering on each employee's face, and you can just feel the tension building.
Okay, so we've covered the big themes, the potential plot twists, even the visual storytelling. Where do we even go from here?
I think it's time to dive into the ethical dilemmas that Severance presents, right? Because the show isn't just about entertainment. It's about making us think, making us question the world around us. It's about asking ourselves, what if this technology was real?
Ooh, that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we'll be tackling in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. So, one thing that keeps coming up in these articles is how Severance really plays with our anxieties about technology. Like, we're all carrying around these mini computers, smartphones and all, sharing our lives online, and it makes you wonder, is a world where the lines between our digital selves and our real selves get even blurrier, is that so far-fetched?
It's like Severance is holding up this dark mirror to Silicon Valley, right? All those apps and gadgets that promise to make us more productive, give us better work-life balance.
Oh, yeah.
But what are we actually giving up for that?
Exactly. And that's what Severance does so well. It shows us the potential downsides, like this constant pursuit of optimization, when you try to compartmentalize something as complex as the human mind,
Right.
surgically remove certain thoughts and emotions, there are going to be consequences.
It reminds me of those articles like How to Hack Your Life or whatever, where they tell you to schedule every minute of your day, outsource everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like become this perfectly efficient machine. And on the surface, it sounds great, right?
Sure.
Who wouldn't want more free time? Less stress. But Severance reminds us that we're not machines.
No, we're not.
We're messy. We're emotional. And trying to compartmentalize our lives like that, it can dehumanize us.
Yeah. Just look at the MDR team. They're literally robbed of their memories, their emotions for 8 hours a day. They're basically non-persons at work.
It's kind of creepy when you think about it that way.
Yeah, it is. And even though their outie selves have, normal lives, it's clear that the Severance has messed them up. They're fragmented, disoriented. They can't really connect with the world around them.
It's like they're living half-lives, both inside and outside of Lumon.
Yeah.
And that raises a big question, I think. What does it even mean to be human if you can't experience the full range of your emotions, the good and the bad?
That's a question philosophers have been debating for centuries. Who are we without our memories? Without our experiences, without the full spectrum of our emotions, And Severance takes that question and puts this chillingly modern spin on it.
Right. It's like in the age of technology, that question becomes even more urgent.
Exactly.
And it's not just about the individual either, right? These articles are also talking about the societal implications of this technology.
Oh, absolutely.
What happens if severance becomes the norm? Do we end up with a workforce that's super efficient, but also completely emotionally numb?
Imagine a world where people are basically programmable robots for half of their lives, where things like empathy, creativity, critical thinking, they're all sacrificed in the name of productivity. It's dystopian, right?
Totally. It's like that one episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
But it makes you think, how far off is that reality?
Right. It's not as far-fetched as it might seem.
And then there's the issue of consent. Like right now, severance is this experimental thing. But what happens if it goes mainstream?
Oh, man. Imagine the pressure to get severed just to compete in the job market. What if it becomes a requirement for certain careers or a way for companies to exert even more control over their employees?
So forget about the glass ceiling. We're talking about a mental ceiling, a limit on what you can experience, what you can achieve based on whether or not you're willing to get this procedure.
It's a whole new level of inequality.
For sure. And it brings up all these ethical questions like, who gets to decide who can and can't be severed? What are the safeguards?
Right.
It's like this double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
On one hand, there are potential benefits. Maybe you could increase productivity, reduce stress, even compartmentalize trauma.
Possibly, yeah.
But then there's the potential for abuse, coercion, the erosion of our basic humanity. It's a lot to grapple with.
It really is. And that's what makes Severance so thought-provoking. It doesn't give us easy answers.
Oh, no, not at all.
It forces us to think about these complex issues and, what our choices could lead to.
It's like this show is saying, hey, this technology might be fictional, but these questions, these dilemmas, they're very real.
Exactly. We're already making choices about how we interact with technology, how much we let it shape our lives. Severance just takes those choices to their extreme conclusion.
Okay, so we've talked about the big themes,
Yeah.
the ethical dilemmas, the potential societal impact. But let's not forget, Severance is also a mystery. And these articles are full of theories about what might happen in Season 2.
Oh, sure.
So let's have some fun, shall we? Indulge in a little speculation.
I'm down for that.
Okay, first things first. Lumon,
Yeah.
what's their deal? What's the end game?
Right. It's the biggest question, isn't it? Is it all about corporate greed? Or is there something more sinister at play?
Are they developing some kind of mind control technology, trying to achieve immortality? I mean, some people think it's a cult.
It wouldn't surprise me at this point.
Right. And the show is so good at dropping these little clues, these hints, but never giving us the full picture.
It keeps us hooked.
Exactly. Honestly, I'm almost scared to find out the truth. Because with a show like this, the answers are probably going to be even more disturbing than the questions.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the specific characters. Obviously, Helena's story is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Now that she knows the truth about Lumon and her family, what's she going to do?
It's such a fascinating setup. She's this idealistic young woman who's suddenly thrust into this world of corporate intrigue. Will she try to take down Lumon from the inside? Or will she protect her family?
It's like she's this ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
And then there's Mark. His story is so tragic.
Oh, it is.
He's lost his wife and then had his memories of her surgically removed.
And now he's starting to piece those memories back together. But will it bring him healing or just more pain?
Right, right. And what about Gemma? Is she really alive? Or is there more to her story?
Could she still be working for Lumon?
Ooh, that's a good one. The showrunners have said we'll learn more about their relationship in Season 2, so I'm really curious to see where that goes.
Me too.
And of course, we can't forget about Irving and Bert. I mean, they're the heart of the show.
They are. Their story is a reminder that even in this dark, dehumanizing world, love can still exist.
Can their love survive Lumon? I need to know.
I think we all do. It's a testament to the power of human connection.
Okay, and speaking of mysterious things, what about those black goo paintings that Irving's making? You think they hold some clue to Lumon's secrets?
They have to, right? It's too weird to just be a coincidence.
Remember when Irving's outie self went to the paint store and, instinctively reached for that same black paint?
Yeah, it was definitely a hint.
And the fact that his paintings seem to show, this industrial setting, maybe even Lumon itself, it's creepy.
It's like his innie self is trying to communicate with his outie self through art?
Trying to warn him or something.
Maybe. And then there's the connection to those boardroom rituals. That one painting that seemed to show the masked figures. What's that all about?
So many questions.
I have a feeling that the answers are going to be pretty wild.
I'm ready for it.
Me too. But, it's important to remember that Severance isn't just about the mystery. It's about making us think.
Totally.
It's about questioning the world around us. It's a show that stays with you long after you've finished watching.
It makes you think about the choices we're making, both as individuals and as a society, and how those choices shape our future.
Exactly. It's about more than just entertainment. It's about, who we are and who we want to be.
Deep stuff.
Yeah.
So, as we head into Season 2, let's keep our minds open, be ready for the unexpected, and maybe brace ourselves for some serious, mind-blowing revelations.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so we're back. And for this final part of our Severance deep dive, we got to talk about something kind of big.
Yeah. This is where things get really interesting, I think.
Okay, so we've been dissecting all these articles, right? And there's this one question that keeps coming up.